Let me know how you went about quitting.
Hey, so I want to answer this post. I want to talk to it for a little bit because I've gotten a couple emails from nurses that are similar to this, and so I want to address it. I'm Heather Wilson. I am the owner of the Footnote Institute, and I was a bedside nurse for about 14 years, and then I became a nurse entrepreneur, and I've since launched two nursing businesses, and I've left the traditional roles of business or as a nurse to create a business. And one of the things that I noticed when I was entertaining the idea of leaving my profession back when I left, I was there till about 2008 is when I started seeing the changes coming into healthcare, and I started questioning, could I do this for the rest of my life? And it became very apparent that I could not, nor did I want to wait for changes to be implemented because I knew that that would take decades. And I was not going to grow old there waiting for those changes to come about. So I decided that I was going to leave the bedside. And one of the things that I feel that we are not talking about is the grieving process that needs to take place when we decide to walk away from these traditional roles as a nurse. And so I had to grieve the idea of what nursing used to be like, or the idea of what I held in my mind of what nursing should be like. And so, you also have to understand that when you're leaving the bedside, you're leaving a lot of the friends that you've made. And a lot of times these friends have been with you on holidays, weekends, nights. You spend more time with your colleagues than you do your own family a lot of times in nursing. And so that was something I also had to address, was that I wasn't going to see these people every day. They were not going to be woven in the integral parts of my daily life any longer. The other thing that I had to grieve was the lifestyle I was leaving. I was leaving essentially a lifestyle that I had built for myself that no longer served me. And I was going to have to leave that in order to get to the other side for a place where it would serve me. I think that as nurses, we identify so closely to the profession that it is woven into our being and our existence. We don't just clock out and turn off the nursing. It just doesn't stop. It doesn't work that way. And so I think that as nurses, we identify so strongly to that is something that, becomes a conflict. If we're not a nurse, who are we? If we decide to leave the profession, what do we do now? I think also, we start to question, what could I do with this nursing degree if I don't do a traditional role? Is there something bigger out there for me? And for me personally, yes, there was. And there probably is for you too. There's a lot of things that you can do with this nursing license that people just aren't talking about. And so that is something that I am very passionate about, is that yes, there is so much more out here beyond those traditional roles that you can do with your nursing license. So don't give up hope. But I feel like nurses right now are feeling like they're in an abusive relationship, and just as if you are in an abusive relationship, you love the abuser but you hate the abuse. And it's kind of like we love the profession but we hate the abuse. And so you have to get to a place where you're going to confront all of that and say, am I going to endure this, or am I going to make the changes and go forward for myself and serve myself better? I'm speaking on this topic this summer because it's something that I think that nurses are really struggling with in the profession, because they feel that they have failed as a nurse if they leave the bedside or if they decide to go into a different profession. And you haven't failed. The system failed you. And that's what the reality of this is. And so there's no discussion about this because we know the mind games that are played upon us in this industry. And I will stand up on the mountain every day and wave the flag and say, it's not you, it's them. Okay. And so I think that something that we're not discussing is that our worth, this is in my speech, this is speech secrets I'm giving to you right now. I wrote this. Our worth as a nurse often changes when the values imposed upon us at our jobs no longer align with our core moral and values. Therefore, we're asked to sacrifice our own morals and values daily. That's not by accident. Just saying. So, to the nurses out there who feel they have failed in this profession, you have not failed in this profession. The profession failed you. Now we have to decide, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay there and wait for changes to come along? Or are you going to go out there and make the changes necessary for yourself in this profession? And so, you know, I don't think that everybody needs to go into foot care nursing, but I will say that there are a lot of businesses out there that nurses could start and do and be successful at. And so there are always options with your nursing license. Do not feel cornered in this industry and feel like you can't do anything. And do not fear, what did the board say? Will the board get me? Will they come after me? The board of nursing is not like that. I've met them. And so I think that this fear that we have has been instituted into us by the education system and the hospital systems. And once you realize how they all work together, you realize that it's not a coincidence what they tell you. So, with that, honor yourself, love yourself, stop leaving the best of who you are at the corporation that does not care about you. Okay? Good luck.